Urban Media Today talks sports with Ray Porter Jr., Vince Butts, and Trevin A. Jones on Urban Media Today Radio.
It's game time!
It's Urban Media Today Talks Sports. Trevin A. Jones. I got my man Ray Porter Jr. up there in the corner. You got my man Vince Butts. You got John McCann. You got Keith Platt Jr. So those are the regulars. Then we got special guests. We got my man Todd Miller, who's a friend of the show. He's from the Power News Radio Network. And we're going to let Todd talk about himself, about the Power News Radio Network a little bit later as well. We got my man Curtis Butt, top-selling bestseller. Actually, Curtis has been around, wrote for many newspapers. If I'm not mistaken, I think he started in D.C., but I could be wrong. And then we got my man Greg Willis, Emperor Cut Cigars, coming in here. So we got brothers who are entrepreneurs and doing their thing. You know what? I just thought about that. All three of you all are doing your own thing. Yo, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's a black. Look, it's three black men. I'm not talking about the rest of you guys. I'm just talking about the three guys. Doing their thing.
I'm ready to get cut from the show. We talking about these entrepreneurs. I can't stack up to that.
You are an entrepreneur too. Don't even try it, man. See, you're on the show on a regular basis. But what we're going to talk about, the premise of the show is going to be the NFL draft. But at the same time, we're just going to talk NFL. So I know all of us have some insight. We all follow football. I love talking about HBCU football. Y'all already know that. We got off onto a tangent last week. And I know with Ty here, with Greg here, and with Curtis here, we're probably going to get off on another tangent when it comes to black college football. And we might have a special guest showing up a little later in the show. It's going to be interesting. Coach is in here right now. We're expecting him a little later as well. I won't tell you who the special guest is going to be, but when he comes in, you'll know. First and foremost, gentlemen, everybody's fine. Families is good. You're good. What's going on?
Totally blessed.
Totally blessed. Right. So
I got my child too, so I'm really blessed now.
You know what? Let me tell you something, man. You got a Dallas Cowboy fan in the house. You got a Washington Redskins fan in the house, which I know. You got a Cleveland Browns fan in the house. You got a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan in the house. Mm-hmm. Never mind Keith Platt Jr. I know who you already root for. You and that guy with the terrible child, you know what I'm saying? And then John, who's your favorite team?
I wouldn't say favorite, but being here in North Carolina, I would say I pull for the Carolina Panthers, but I might be leaning toward Tampa Bay right now, just saying.
He's a front runner.
Don't tell me it's because of Tom Brady and Gronk.
The fifth best team in the NFC, right?
Tom Brady by himself, just because I respect how that guy's gotten down over the years.
His legacy, right.
You put Gronk into it, I'm like, these guys might be all right.
All right. Greg, who's your favorite team, Greg?
Man, I grew up around Kansas City, the Chiefs.
See, that's what I'm talking. Hey, you got Kansas City Chiefs. So put that towel away, take it off your shoulder, because you got all these different cats in here. Ain't nobody here for Pittsburgh.
Hey, Greg, Kansas City is not in Texas.
That's Texas Southern.
Kansas City.
You know what, man?
Tell him Ray wants some ribs.
Yeah, I want some ribs, man.
So, you know what? This is what I'm going to do right away. Curtis, first I'm going to come right to you. And the reason I'm going to come to you is because last week we talked about the Washington Redskins. We talked about Dwayne Haskins. We talked about me personally. I want Cam Newton to show up in D.C. because I want Kalen Newton to go back to Howard so that the Newton would just light D.C. up.
Oh, man. Yeah, that all sounds great in theory. But there's no way. You know, the Redskins have committed to Haskins. I think that if he puts in the work this summer and he seems to be committed, loses some weight, studies film, I think he's going to be the guy who's going to lead us to greater pastures. We needed a quarterback ever since RG3's second year. We've struggled quite a bit. Cam Newton, obviously, I think is a dynamic player, and I think he's going to probably end up somewhere like my initial reaction was he's going to end up with the Patriots, simply because that would be a case where the Patriots could just continue to be that dominant force. But as long as we beat the Cowboys, Eagles, Giants, everything, I'm good. All right?
You got Pittsburgh this year, my man.
But hold up, before
Steelers relevant anymore?
Yeah.
All I can say is the last time they had a losing season was 2003, so they're very relevant.
Okay. Did they play in the playoff this year?
Huh?
Did they make the playoff this year?
Did Washington?
But Curtis, before we even get into a little bit more, talk a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm an author. I've written 11 novels over the last 20 years or so. I got into novels only because I'm a journalist at heart. Sports writer for 30 plus years. Worked in New York, worked in DC, covered the Redskins, Sugar Ray Leonard, and boxing for about a year and a half. University of Maryland, I covered Lynn Byers for 2 years, or a year and a half, and that was one of the highlights of my career. And then went to New York for 11 years, covered the Nets when they were in Jersey first. Then the Knicks, starting with Rick Pitino as coach through Pat Riley and Don Nelson. And then moved to Atlanta, where I am now, where I covered the Hawks, the Braves, the Falcons, the Olympics in Australia, pretty much everything you can think of up until I took the buyout in 2008. So love sports still. Don't go to many games anymore simply because I don't have to go. I've been to 5,000 games probably, over all the sports. Love it. But my passions now are writing about Black people and what we're doing in the world. I've written about Greg's Emperor's Cut cigar line, which is something that was really important to me. And so that's what I'm doing now, pretty much for NBC News, writing about Black people and what we're doing in the world that's making the world a better place that generally you don't get to see in most media outlets.
Wow, I like that. And I got plenty of questions, but I'm not going to ask because we're going to move on real quick. Because kudos to you, my brother, for doing what you do. And then you mentioned Emperor's Cuts. So I got to move over to my man, Greg Willis. Greg Willis is into Emperor's Cuts right now. But let me tell you, back in the day, radio, nobody could describe lunch in the afternoon musically like Greg Willis could. So, Greg, you mentioned your favorite team being the Kansas City Chiefs. Got that. But what's going on with Emperor's Cuts?
Yeah, so just real quick, Emperor's Cuts is a Black-owned cigar company. We're based out of Houston, Texas. 7 of us own the company. We've been in market now, like I said, about 20 months. And we produce our own cigar. We don't do a white label situation. We actually have gone to Nicaragua and worked with the factories and farms down there and produced our own cigar. We have a line out called Natural Pleasure right now that has 4 cigars in it. We actually got a ranking and designation as number 3 boutique cigar for 2019. So even though we don't have vowels and Z's at the end of our names, we actually know what we're doing. We recently went to Dominican Republic last year, and we're working on a Dominican blend. And the only thing that held up that blend is, frankly, COVID-19. The Dominican Republic and much of Central America and the Caribbean has shut down because of COVID-19 as well. But as soon as they resumed, we were in the final stages of production of a Dominican blend, which we're very excited about. That'll be out, and we'll continue to promote that to the cigar community. So that's the nut, the quick and dirty on Emperor's Cut. But my background too, radio, television, worked in sports, did some sideline reporting for BET back in the day, did some work with ESPN on the broadcast operations side, and I've always had a love affair with sports. Don't do a lot of it anymore because I've pivoted into a different direction. But anytime I can talk sports with the fellas, I'm game for it.
No doubt. And we got a special guest. Quinton Bell joined us from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, linebackers extraordinaire, actually Prairie View A&M alum. Quinton, welcome to the show, my brother. We just got started, so you really didn't miss much, family. We're introducing
How
everybody.
you doing?
I'm good.
There he is.
All right.
Yes, sir.
No, you're good, man. So what we'll do real quick, I'm going to go to Ty Miller, and then we'll come to Quinton Bell. So, Ty, Power News Radio Network, doing your thing. Ty and I got a history. Man, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. That's for sure. Sheridan Broadcasting, we started out there. He took me under his wing and let me do some things with him. We're very much involved in the HBCU Black College All-American team, which is historical. Ty's been doing it twice as long as I have, I think, and he's younger than I am. I don't know how that works, but anyway. But go ahead, man.
That's debatable. Well, anyway, Trevor, as you said, we were longtime employees of Sheridan Broadcasting and then American Urban Radio Networks. And I've always been a proponent that if you do anything for a long time, at some point you have to take something for yourself. So when Sheridan Broadcasting, the URN, folded their news division, I took it upon myself to formulate the Power News Radio Network. And what that is basically pretty much the same thing, news and sports and specialty programming. So what we do is we service radio stations who these days don't have news departments. They don't have news anchors because a lot of cutbacks have happened even before coronavirus 19 took place. But a lot of radio stations don't have Black news and information coming from any kind of source except for maybe CNN, AP, and Bloomberg. And oftentimes those, they're respectable outlets, but they don't give you good, solid Black information for the audiences who need them. So what we do on a daily basis, we do morning drive reports and news and sports. And since early March, we've been doing coping with coronavirus reports, which are reports about everything dealing with coronavirus. And we put them out there. We are a paid subscription service, but lately we've been offering some of the information for free because in this environment, we need to get the right information to people. And when you talk about the coronavirus, there's a lot of misinformation out there. So what we're trying to do is give them the right information from the CDC, from various health departments, and just the right information, because we all know and we all heard the rumors early on. They were saying that Black people can't get COVID-19, which was a lie.
Oh.
We don't know who started that. And I'm one of those guys who even thinks that even calling the coronavirus the Rona is kind of like a bad thing, only because it kind of minimizes the seriousness of the situation for a lot of younger people when they go around calling you got that Rona or he got that Rona, and they don't really understand that this is a serious situation. So we provide these daily reports for radio stations. We put some of them on LinkedIn. And as a matter of fact, today we did a report on domestic violence, because what's happening in a lot of homes right now with coronavirus, people in situations where they are stuck with an abuser. So we offer information on how they can seek help even in a situation like that. We offer information on things like what to do if a loved one in your household comes down with some symptoms related to the coronavirus, because let's face it, a lot of Black Americans like ourselves, we live in households where there might be 1 or 2 bedrooms. You might have 6 or 7 people, and you don't see that stuff on TV every day about how to deal with those situations. And one of the things about the athletes you've been seeing, and not to go on a tangent here, Trey, but you see the athletes and you see the entertainers on TV, oftentimes you see them in these lavish homes, and these, let's all stay together. But hey, they're spread out in these lavish homes. But a lot of us, Black Americans, Black and brown people, they don't have the luxuries to spread out and be distant from each other. So we have to offer information about washing your hands, if someone gets sick in your household, what to do to try to make the best of the situation. So we do that on a daily basis, not only with the coronavirus reports, but also our news and even our sports reports report on the same type of things.
That's what's up, man. I can't even argue with anything that you just said. Not that I would want to, but you definitely appreciate it for bringing it to us straight. Speaking about bringing it to us straight and speaking about young people, there's a young gentleman at the bottom of this screen, big number 57, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Mr. Quinton Bell, Prairie View A&M grad, mind you. And bro, I gotta reach out to you. I mean, your path has not been easy. What we're gonna do is we play 2 quarters here, so that's the end of the first quarter. But I'm gonna let you talk a little bit about yourself. We'll go to break and come right back with you, Quinton. Coming from Prairie View A&M, HBCU, and then getting with, was it with Oakland first?
Yeah, I was drafted by Oakland in the 7th round last year's draft, and then now I'm with Tampa Bay. Yeah.
And then speaking about the draft, when you anticipated something like this before you got into the league, what was your feeling like the night before the draft?
The night before the draft, it was a roller coaster of emotions, just because at the same time it was 2 different things. I was coming from a HBCU, a smaller school, not as the level of competition in a lot of people's eyes wasn't high enough. But then I had an amazing pro day, and I have an amazing agent. You know what I'm saying? And he did a great job of giving me exposure and getting me out there. So I felt like I didn't really know what to expect. I was like, I really want to hear my name called, but even if it wasn't called, I was prepared to, take that undrafted route, and still, be where I need to be, that way. So it was a lot of stress and a lot of emotions, but I knew that, God was on my side and I was going to be good either way.
Big man Quinton Bell, number 57, Tampa Bay Buccaneers linebacker. We're going to take a quick break. This is the end of the first quarter. Come right back after this timeout. It's Urban Media Today Talk Sports on the Urban Media Today radio networks.
Urban Media Today is your source for entertainment, news, sports, and lifestyle. It's your online resource for health and fitness, providing tips to decrease your heart disease or increase your good spirits. When you can't find who made the top picks in HBCU sports or what part of the country is most exciting or affordable to travel with the entire family, Urban Media Today is there to provide you with all that you need and just a click away. Log on to urbanmediatoday.com now. Find us on social media. Urban Media Today, your lifestyle information and blog website.
It's Urban Media Today Talk Sports. Trevin A. Jones, got my man Vince Butts, got Ray Porter Jr., got John McCann, got Curtis Budd, Greg Willis, Ty Miller, and Keith Platt Jr. He's the youngin'. But wait a minute, he might not be the youngin' because we got a young man at the bottom of the screen who's the Tampa Bay Buccaneer who's maybe young, but he's making bucks and he's making things happen. I think,
sir.
Curtis, you had a question for Mr. Quinton Bell. Quinton, welcome to the show.
Yeah, Quinton, thanks for joining us. My question is, you talked about having a great pro day and how that was a factor in teams really looking at you and paying attention to you and giving you a real shot. The coronavirus has canceled the whole HBCU combine that was scheduled. Only one HBCU player from a college, I think in North Carolina A&T, got invited to the combines. How does that make you feel? What does that say about how they take in black college football?
Man, honestly, I was hurt by it, just because when it was my time last year to go through that, I knew how important it was for me to be available that day, to be healthy that day. That day is what pretty much got me to where I am today, and I was just talking to one of my old teammates from Prairie View last night about, what you've been doing, what's the process like for you now? And he's like, man, messed a lot of things up, but, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, man. So honestly, I was hurt by it. I can only imagine if I was in a situation, just how it would feel emotionally, man, just after working so hard, preparing for that day, just to have it be canceled. And like you said, they had the HBCU combine that was scheduled this year, which was going to be a great event for, HBCU players to get more, to get more exposure, man. And it's just unfortunate, and like you said, only one player got invited to the combine. I really wish that there was more, support and just more, just more things for HBCU players, because as you see, man, athletes are athletes, and you're going to find them anywhere. You're going to find them at HBCUs, D1, D2, D3. So it's really unfortunate for those players, man. I pray for them, and I hope that everything goes good for them.
Appreciate that response.
As you can see, we got Coach William Greg Hoy playing for Envelopes, joining the crew. What's up, Coach?
What's up, Playboys?
Hey,
What's up, Q? What's up, baby?
What up?
What's going on, man?
As you can see, everybody's now in the house. Coach, we just started the second quarter. Curtis just was talking to Quinton real quick about the HBCU experience and with the coronavirus upsetting the apple cart, so to speak, in reference to HBCU players getting a little additional shine. And you guys know last week we had a deep conversation about that. So I'll stay to myself this time. But we're going to stay with Quinton for just a little while because I know he might be short on time. And if not, we're going to ask him as much as we can while he's here. Anybody else have a question for Quinton real quick?
Yeah, I had one question. Quinton, we know that, just like with the draft, free agency is also a part of the NFL and even sports experience. In making the move from one team to another, were there any emotional ties to your first team? Was that process hard or annoying, or was it all business for you?
Oh, man, I can go on and on about this one. I mean, as y'all probably know or may not know, my uncle was drafted to the Raiders, back in the 90s. So in the beginning, automatically, it was an emotional attachment to the team. I grew up a Raider fan. Right. And so, when I did wind up getting released after the preseason, it was a lot for me. It was a lot just because I felt like things were going one way and then that happened, and it was an emotional time for me, but it woke me up. It woke me up, and it showed me that, this is a business, and no matter who played for who or what family member played for anybody, it don't matter. It matters what you do. And not that I feel like I was doing anything bad. I don't think it was the right fit for me, and I feel 100% better about where I'm at now. But like I said, man, it was definitely an emotional time, and I think that with the help of my family and my agent and people around me, we got through that. And shortly after I signed with Tampa Bay, and it was a blessing, man. And now where I'm at now, I feel this is the right spot. I'm playing the right position. But I always thank Oakland for giving me the opportunity. Man, I had a great time there and met a lot of great people. and it opened my eyes up to to the rookie experience and what to look for looking forward. So definitely.
Thank you, sir.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Like, so I got a question for you, brother. I'm a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan. Now I'm
Right.
even more of a fan that I know that you're there. And I truly mean that sincerely, because as Ty will tell you, and probably everybody else in this room, when it comes to HBCU football and sports, I am in love with HBCU, especially football. I mean, definitely down for that. My question to you is this, man, and be as honest as you can be with your answer. Tom Brady and Gronkowski coming to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Did you ever see that coming? And how does that make you feel? Like, is it going to change the team?
That's amazing. And I still don't think it's hit me yet. I mean, those are the two people that I've been watching, since I've been watching football. And so just to even think that, like, I might be on the same team as these guys who won back-to-back endless championships and, probably, if not one of the most famous, if not the most famous quarterback in NFL history, and you got one of the greatest tight ends that ever played the game. So it's huge for the team. It's huge for me. I think it's going to be an instant culture change. I think, in all honesty, I think it makes us instant contenders, I think that's really the thing. I think wherever Tom Brady is, he has that impact on the team to where when he comes there, it's time to win, So I feel like just for the whole organization, man, it's going to be a huge year, and I'm so blessed and so excited to be a part of it, honestly.
Quinton, this is Ty Miller. Without the OTAs that have been postponed and most likely will be canceled, how have you been keeping yourself in shape at home, and what kind of things have you been doing to make sure that you're football ready when and if you get the go-ahead to continue?
Right. That's a good question. Well, I don't know if you guys know, I'm actually from LA, from Long Beach, California. So this is where I was at in the beginning of the off season. And so right when the coronavirus hit, gyms closed, weight rooms closed, training facilities closed. So for a while, I was, doing home workouts. I had weights and things at home that I use. And I have, multiple trainers that, we would do beach workouts, work out on the track, on the field. Then they shut the beaches down, so then we were doing hill workouts. And then the stay-at-home order kind of kicked in. So at this time, I've kind of been working out at home and, kind of sneaking into a couple of tracks here and there, getting some work in, doing what I can do. I'm actually about to work out on the track right now once I get over here. But just trying to do as much as I can, just make sure, that my body is just, going to be ready, like you said, for when we get the call to come back. We're going to have a virtual session actually starting next week. It's going to be about 3 weeks long, where we're going to do virtual meetings and sort of like this and virtual workout sessions with our strength coaches and things like that. And hopefully when that's done, they'll open the facilities back up around middle of May, and we should get back, right back to it in person then, hopefully. But for now, we're about to start the virtual stuff. So just trying to stay ready anywhere I can, really.
That's kind of interesting because today the Saints head coach Sean Payton, he said that his team won't be doing meetings, video conferencing, or anything until the summer. He's told his players to take care of their families, to take care of each other, and just be ready for the summer. So that's definitely would give your team or any other team maybe a leg up in some respect.
Yeah, actually, I actually didn't know that. I feel like every coach is different, and every coach is going to run their program the way they want to run it. So I know with Coach Arians, I know he wants to win, and he wants to, do as much as he can with us, but same time keeping it safe. So yeah, I'm all for what he wants to do.
How would a video or virtual workout actually take place with all the players?
That was my question too.
I'm actually just as I'm trying to find out how it's going to work too. We're going to start here in a week, and we're going to see how things go. It's my first time doing this, so I'm just going to do what I'm told to do and get my work in, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm not really sure how everything's going to pan out, but hopefully it does, and hopefully we get some good stuff going in. So yeah.
Hey, Q, what's up, man? Coach Troy, bro. What's going on, man?
How you doing?
I'm good, man. So let's I don't know if you guys got that. Let's talk about the rookie week. You got drafted. Let's take everybody that's going to be looking at this podcast and listening to it through the rookie symposium. Some of the things that you learned, you picked up. That was a pretty big week for every rookie, right? And it's going to happen again.
Right. Well, I actually didn't go to the rookie symposium. I think that was, a thing that was for, higher rated, higher drafted athletes that were supposed to for sure get drafted, kind of thing.
Okay.
But even so, I think that the whole week. I remember coming home and I was at home talking with my agent, and they kind of had a couple things on the table and plans, and if this doesn't happen, this is going to happen. And I just kind of stuck to the script, and I knew that obviously there were 3 days of the draft. I was planning on, if I was to get called, it was going to be day 3, a late pick. But my agent told me, he's like, look, obviously we want to get that pick, but if not, I'm already talking to teams. We're going to figure something out. We're going to get you signed. We're trying to get you on a 90-man roster and get you going for the, for the preseason. So,
Right.
When that day came, I remember day 3 came, and I'm sitting there, and actually before my name actually got called, I think we already had a couple offers from like 3 or 4 different teams.
Right.
Contract offers with pretty solid undrafted offers from what we could get.
Right.
And after I got the phone, I got that call from Oakland. So I think that
Right.
just the whole process was a lot, but I definitely learned up to that point. I learned so much with just the business side and just the emotional side. You got to keep yourself together. At the same time, listen to the ones around you who really care about you.
Outside noise is pretty big, huh?
Oh yeah, it's huge. It's huge, man. Let it get to you to eat you up, definitely.
Can I jump in here? Ask a quick question.
Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, so you've referenced multiple times. I've heard how you've talked about your agent. What I'm curious about is for a lower draft choice, a pick, or a free agent, there's a perception about how agents work, particularly with the higher draft choices. Talk us through how your agent helped you get to this point where you're actually with another team.
Okay, with another team.
Well, in general, just how he got you to the point, because it sounded like you were saying that your agent was really instrumental, not only your athletic prowess, but just in general, just getting you to the league. It sounds like he was a champion for you. I was just curious about some of the things that he did to get you to that point.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, when it was time for me to, actually sign to an agent, one of the things I wanted to make sure was someone who had experience, who had current clients that are NFL. I didn't want to sign anybody that didn't have anybody at the time. I didn't want to be anybody's first person. I feel like the odds were already against me. So I'm like, I need to get somebody who knows what they're doing, who's doing it now, so I won't, jump into any bad situation. And I met this guy. He actually, crazy story, actually, he met my family my first game when I switched position to defensive end. He was in the stands. He met my family. And I hadn't even met him yet. I hadn't even played a snap yet of defense. And he heard about me through the grapevine and my athletic ability and everything. And so my parents met him, and they told me, they said from day one they got good vibes, and I wound up meeting him a couple games later. I started playing well, and my name started buzzing a lot. And, we had a couple talks, sit down phone calls, and everything was good. I felt a good vibe from him. I felt like he had connections, that he knew what he was talking about, and he had current NFL clients. He's from Houston, so he was local. Down the street from Prairie View, and so I just felt like it was a good situation. And I felt like I was comfortable with him and what he was saying, and when that came time, I think that for my pro day, I think we already had a couple of scouts scheduled to come, but I know he made a lot of calls and got a lot more people to come, and really hyped my name up. And I remember him telling me, he said, look, man, I've been hyping you up, so you better come with it. You know what I'm saying? You make sure that, you do what I'm saying you're going to do. And I'm like, I got you. I'm not playing. Like, I'm going to do what you're saying I'm going to do. So he got people to show up, and I did the rest. You know what I'm saying? And even when the Oakland release happened, he made a lot of calls, and I think I probably went on 4 or 5 different workouts for 4 or 5 different teams, like the next week. I was already on the go. And then I think maybe, I want to say 2 weeks later, I signed with Tampa, want to work out with them. And it was a guy who actually, Coach Foote, he actually knows my agent personally. And I got to work out with them, and they said they like what they saw. And so, I said, he did a lot for me, and he did a lot for me to keep me going and make sure that my name's in the air, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. He stays on me. So I appreciate him a lot.
Cool.
Hey, Quinton, this Coach Owen again. I'm always going to talk recruiting. So let's talk about a kid coming from Cali going to HBCU, or kids going to HBCUs, getting recruited to go to HBCUs, and the opportunities. Of course, that's what I do. I put kids in college all over the country. And you had the opportunity to go to Prairie View. And so what was that transition like? I know we had some good conversations in the beginning because it was a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah.
Coach, you know what, Quinton? Hold on one second. Coach, I'm going to hold you on that. That's the end of the first half. It's Urban Media Today Talk Sports. We got my man Quinton Bell, who we're talking to right now from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You got Coach William Greg Hoyd. You got Mitch Butts. You got Ty Miller. You got Curtis Budd. You got Greg Willis. It's a full house. You got my man Keith Blatt Jr., John McCann, and Ray Porter Jr. up there in the top left corner. We're going to come right back at the District Timeout on Urban Media Today Talk Sports.
Looking for some magic? On a weekly basis, all right here on Urban Media Today Radio.
It's Urban Media Today Talk Sports. We got special guest Quinton Bell. We also have special guest Curtis Bunn, Greg Willis, Ty Miller, Coach William Greg Hoyd. He's becoming an oldie on the show now because he's with us all the time. We got not old in age, Coach. I'm just talking about old in experience with the show. We got Keith Blatt Jr., Greg Willis, Curtis Bunn, Ray Porter Jr., and John McCann. Coach, you were asking Quinton a question about HBCU football, the experience, getting into the league. And go ahead and ask that question again, Coach.
Yeah, Quinn. So again, we're playing for envelopes. I put a lot of kids in college around the country, and you were afforded to go to Prairie View. And so what's the biggest challenge or the biggest adjustment from kids coming maybe from California or anywhere coming to HBCU? First of all, culture-wise, dealing with the culture, because I know we had some conversations early when you got there. Okay, and then finishing up. Can you talk to us a little bit about that and the adjustments you had to go through?
Oh yeah, I talk to people about this all the time. A lot of people ask me that. I think the thing was definitely the culture and just the relocation, man. I mean, you go from LA, Long Beach, city life, concrete jungle to Prairie View, literally in the country, in the woods. You know what I'm saying? So I think when I first got there, I was a little culture shock, homesick. Definitely was going through it. Like, man, what am I doing here? I don't know what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Nobody talks like me. It was a lot to go through at first. And I think I just, after a while, I just started to open up, man, and I think that was a great experience for me just to kind of experience something different. It's a whole different vibe. In Texas alone, Texas to California is a whole different vibe in itself. But HBCU, just from California life is completely different, man. I had a great time. I met a lot of great people, got to see a lot of different things I never would have saw in California. So was it a big adjustment? Yeah, but I think it was a great one. I think it helped develop me as a person, as a man as well, being away from home and learning the entire new culture. So
what about the college recruiting experience though? Because I had your younger brother, he went to Arizona, and then the big Power 5 school, right? And then you go to Prairie View. I mean, I know if I had got you earlier, we could have did a lot more. You know what I mean? We kind of got you late there in the process.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about like the difference in recruiting though.
Oh yeah. I mean, obviously going through you and getting that call from Prairie View, it was big for me. I think around the time we were talking, I was doing the track thing. I was going the track route.
Yep.
And I was ready to, pursue that. I actually give up football at that time. And, then we got in contact with you and you made a couple calls from me. And then I remember going on that visit, meeting Coach Simmons was coach at the time. And I remember going on my visit, man, and it was a lot. But I mean, they kind of told me, they were like, hey, we're gonna let you run track and play football. And I was all for that. I was all for that. And I remember when I signed there, man, I'm ready to go. And it seemed all cool, when I was there with my family and everything. And I got there by myself, and I was like, man, I'm really in Texas, So, yeah, but no, the recruiting part was definitely it was a really smooth process in my opinion. It kind of came out of nowhere. I was like, man, Prairie View, never heard of it. Where's that at? But in the end, I think it was probably one of the best, if not the best decision I ever made in my life. So I always thank Greg for that, and everything worked out. So.
That's what's up. Good stuff. Yo, Vince, you got a question, Vince?
Let me ask this last quick question. So what about like the experience from a dating? I mean, you're a 6'4", good-looking black kid from California going there. You going to Prairie View. It's like Chocolate City. Come on, man. We talking real, man. This is what the recruits need to hear. They need to hear about the adjustment. right? Make the adjustments.
Who got the
I mean, it wasn't really too much of an adjustment, you know. I mean, I am who I am, and I'm gonna have my fun wherever I'm at. You know, that's kind of what I looked into. You know, I always love, obviously, a lot of black people here at HBCU. You know, pretty much, predominantly 95%. You know, African American. So obviously, a lot of black women there, and I was just fine with that. You know, that was great. I had a great time with that, and you know, I mean. Not much more to say.
Great
You know?
answer. Don't get yourself in trouble up here, bro.
You know, come on, man. I'm gonna ask the hard questions, man. Come on, that's the real question.
It's
the easy one. If you've been to an HBCU, you know what it's like.
Without a doubt. Yo, that's fun, man. And Quinton, we're very proud of you, fam, for doing what you're doing and keep it up. My question I would have is, first and foremost, how do you deal with the newfound fame? And secondly, you said that you had talked to one of your old teammates at Prairie View, who's still at Prairie View, eligible for the draft tomorrow, maybe. How do you put a hand back to pull another brother up?
Okay. Well, with the first question, with the newfound fame, I think I don't think I really had to adjust to it. You know, I feel like I've kind of always been in the spotlight with my athletic, you know, career. And I think when this happened, you know, obviously I got a lot more fame, and I think I can't even remember what they said. I was the first person to get drafted from Prairie View since I don't know how long ago. So that was a lot that came with that. But I was grateful for it. You know, I was grateful for it. I was blessed for it, and you know, I always stay humble and, you know, and talk to anybody I want to talk to and ask questions. And, you know, I really want to use my platform, you know, for positive use, you know, and really give back. Actually, my teammate that I talked to recently, Dwayne Tucker, I don't know if you guys heard of him, the running back, number one. I talked to him last night, and he kind of was like, you know, everything's on hold right now. And he actually just did he actually posted his pro day on his social media, you know, his virtual, you know, kind of pro day that he could do. But my advice to him, you know, was just keep your head up, you know. And he said to me, you know, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. You know, I'm gonna pray on it. And I said, yeah, bro, you know, just pray on it, man. And he had an amazing career, you know, for undersized back at the HBCU. I mean, he did, you know, what more can you do? You know, I'm sure you guys heard about him.
No doubt.
And so I'm just, you know, I'm praying for him and all my other teammates too, who, you know, who are coming out this year. Just keep working, you know, just keep working, man. The hard work is going, you know, is going to work for you, you know, and I'm praying for him as well. So
that's what's up. We're going to make you one of the fellas right now, Quinton, because what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about this NFL draft.
Well, I have to do a retraction on something.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
You taking something back?
I am taking something back, and I have to admit.
Oh! Okay, I can't wait to hear this. Go ahead.
Well, I know we had talked last week about who we thought was going to be the overall pick, and I had said Tua from Alabama. And I think that if he was healthy, he probably would have been. But, you know, the season that Joe Burrow has had with LSU, it speaks for itself. I mean,
no, you just did an about face. That's because Quinton's on here. That's because Sai's on here. That's because Greg's on here and Curtis is here. You just did a total about face.
Nope. I just had to face the facts.
Wait a minute. Let me ask you another question, brother. What happened to that terrible towel you had on your shoulder? See, when Quinton Bell showed up, there it is.
Excuse me. See, I took it down. But see, since you're going to say that, I put it right back up again. You see what I go through, Quinton? You see this? But
I see it, man. I see it.
I just think that honestly, and I think Vincent, you had hit on it too, that, you know, he would obviously be the way he had it, the season last year that he had and all the honors and accolades. Yeah, of course Cincinnati's going to get him. So that's my retraction. And I think Chase Young's going to be the man. What you think?
Go ahead, Curtis.
Everything I've seen of Chase Young has been, you know, he's a beast. I didn't realize how big he is. He's fast. He's played in, you know, the highest level in college football you can play in and flourish. We need, as a Redskin fan, I mean, since I could talk, I'm a diehard. We need a defensive presence that can rush the passer. We hadn't had that for so long. Brian Kirk has been, you know, past his prime a couple of years, and we need that guy who can be a force out there. So, and that just helps the offense. That helps get us better field position, get our young quarterback a little bit more to work with, as opposed to being up against the goal line all the time. So it's a big deal to go out there and get a player of that magnitude who everybody seems to think is a consistent game changer, and will be a consistent game changer for quite a while.
Hey, Quinton, I got another question for you, man. When you first of all, I got the utmost respect for you. I'm a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan. I'm gonna tell you how far back I go. I go all the way back to the #1 pick, Leroy Selman. Then after Leroy Selman, under Coach John McKay back in the day, and I think his son even went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then you had Doug Williams, who came and led the Bucs to the NFC Championship. That was after the Buccaneers went through 2 years of just losing every game. And then Tony Dungy ended up being a head coach there, and even one of Ray's most favorite coaches, Mike Tomlin, came through the Tampa Bay Buccaneer coaching cycle under Coach Dungy. So I'm totally a Bucs fan. But my question to you is, would you like the team to go back to the creamsicle uniforms?
I think I know. Those are light orange, right? The light orange.
Yeah, those are light orange. Yeah.
I do like those. I played with them in the video game Madden a couple of times with those uniforms. So I do like those, man. But whatever uniforms we get, I'm gonna go hard in them. So I'm not really too concerned about them. But we can do the creamsicle too. I'm all for it. So
I knew you were gonna say that.
And it's really a shame, to be honest with you, that and I'm not criticizing the rule. Quinton, your thoughts on the one helmet rule, because before they had that rule, the Buccaneers did wear the creamsicles as well sometimes.
Yeah, you're right. I give you that. We're coming up on the end of the third quarter. We play a full game here, fellas and people listening. It's Urban Media Today Talk Sports. We're going to take a quick break and come back, wrapping up this football game. 4 quarters played. Got a powerful quarter coming up. Look at all these black men on the screen. And all of them are entrepreneurs in their own businesses, which we'll talk about that a little bit too. It's Urban Media Today Talk Sports. We'll be right back after this brief timeout.
Urban Media Today is your source for entertainment, news, sports, and lifestyle. It's your online resource for health and fitness, providing tips to decrease your heart disease or increase your good spirits. When you can't find who made the top picks in HBCU sports or what part of the country is most exciting or affordable to travel with the entire family, Urban Media Today is there to provide you with all that you need and just a click away. Log on to urbanmediatoday.com now. Find us on social media. Urban Media Today, your lifestyle information and blog website.
Urban Media Today Talk Sports. We're back. Quinton Bell, Tampa Bay Buccaneer. We got Coach William Greg Hoyd. We got Ty Miller. Got Vince Bucs, Keith Platt Jr., Greg Willis, Curtis Bunn, John McCann, and Ray Porter Jr. I know Quinton got to step out real quick. So, fellas, if you got something that you want to speak to him about, let's go for it.
We talked about Chase Young. Let's just say this. Chase Young is a Quinton Bell type. We'll leave it at that, right?
Wow. I'll take it.
That don't sound too bad to me.
That's big. That's big right there.
Hey, Quinton, get that envelope, baby. Get that brand. Let's go. I see you out there. I know Quinton did some Christmas stuff last year. I was pretty excited about doing some community stuff that he did. Can you talk a little bit about that community stuff you did, helping your brand out when you first got there?
Oh yeah. We had a basically it was with a children's home, and we had like a shopping spree for them. They each got a $200 shopping spree at Target. And along with that, we each had our own group. We had our jerseys made, and we signed jerseys for them. They got like a custom jersey for them from us. So it was a great event. I had a great time with the kids. I love the kids, so it felt really good to give back. And obviously, brand building there too. Just kind of doing more community service work. And obviously, that was my plans for the off season as well. Before all this hit, to do a lot of community service stuff. But it's on hold now. But definitely plan to do more of that in the future. So
that's what's up.
Yeah.
So, Quinton, thank you for joining the show, my brother. I know you got to go. We totally appreciate your time. We know how precious it is.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Best of luck.
Good luck to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Be safe, brother.
All right. Y'all too. Thank you. Y'all have a good one.
Yes, sir.
Take care.
All right, fellas. So let's get to it. If you're looking at the NFL draft, we got many. Coach still didn't own a team. But last week, Coach was talking about the New England Patriots, quiet as kept. But anyway, we're looking at the draft tomorrow. Is there anything that stands out in any of your minds as to what is going to be, what would keep you on edge, so to speak? As an NFL football fan, what would get you excited about this draft?
Right. The most intriguing thing to me about this draft is how are they going to deal with the lower rounds in terms of picking those prospects? Because normally you would see some tape on them. This year, you might not hear a whole lot of talk about them. Say for Quinton Bell's situation, this year the black college player, he may not get that recognition at all. They may all end up being free agents, maybe except for maybe one or two of them. But it's going to be a situation where, you know, it's kind of funny how the media does, the big media does with ESPN and NFL Network. They always talk about the guy that everybody knows about. We know about Tua. We know about Joe Burrow. We know about Chase Young. I want to hear about those players that nobody knows about. So it's going to be interesting this year as to how they cover those guys. The most intriguing player, I think, in this draft, in terms of where he may go, is a quarterback. Anybody got any idea who I'm talking about?
Jordan Love?
Nope.
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. That's the most interesting quarterback in this draft in terms of where could he possibly end up? Because he's going to be a quarterback that could probably help some team, not only now, but definitely in the future. But they're not talking about him a whole lot right now. But I think that might be one of the key guys. Now, I know the Steelers need a quarterback. I'm not sure they would draft a quarterback right now.
Yeah.
Utter not.
But I think he might be somebody, if he falls to like maybe the fourth round, they may look at the Patriots. You know, he could fall somewhere to some team that he could really be a benefit to.
Well, Ty, you're on the same page as Trevin, because last week Trevin was building up Jalen Hurts as the second coming of Lamar Jackson.
Well, I don't think he's that swift as Lamar Jackson, but I think he is he's to me more than anybody else. He reminds me almost like a Dak Prescott. Maybe not as good as an arm as Dak Prescott. And Dak is he doesn't have a howitzer, but definitely he's along those lines that he could go in and help some team. Maybe not right away, but you got a team leader, and what they look for in quarterbacks are leaders, and that's a team leader right there.
Yeah, I think the caveat to what you're saying, I mean, I don't think it's far off. It's just that he's got to get with a good quarterback coach and a good offensive coordinator. Otherwise, I think that we'll find him in a program where he'll be underutilized, and then he'll be perceived as a wash and a bust when he has all of the requisite tools, I think, to actually be a pretty good quarterback. But it all depends on where he falls.
And I think it's interesting that the Redskins, maybe a couple of weeks ago, they were talking about, would they take a quarterback at number 2 and, maybe let Dwayne Haskins sit again? I don't know if it's good for them to even get Cam Newton. I think they have to put Dwayne Haskins on the field now if they're going to move forward. But I really think it's interesting that that conversation came up about them taking a quarterback. And that tells me at that time, at least they weren't sold on them. Now, I think, Curtis, you said that they should rock and roll with Haskins, right?
No doubt. I think it would, it doesn't surprise me that someone would raise that question. Maybe they should take Tua or whomever is their number 2, even though you've invested a first-round pick in Haskins last year, giving him the starting job the latter part of the year. And when he finally got some protection and his feet under him, his legs under him, he performed admirably in the last couple of games. I think his thing is about maturity and growth. He's a younger guy. He showed his immaturity in the game one of the few games we won when he wasn't on the field to take the last snap because he was taking a selfie with the fan. So he was celebrating before the game was over. It's something he can learn from, but I think it was an example of his youth and his need to grow. I think it was a hard lesson to learn, but it worked out for him because I think he's now much more serious about what's taking place. It's not just about winning the game, but it's about how you comport yourself. You have to be a leader. So he understands that dynamic a lot better, I think. And he obviously has the talent. He has a skill set. He can make the throws. Now it's about reading defenses, gaining the respect of your offensive linemen, all your players around you. And he's young. And so because he's shown that promise in those last 3 or 4 games, I think it would be ridiculous to give up on him and draft a rookie to start in front of a guy who's been in the league for a year.
I hate to cut you off, but you sound like a diehard Redskins fan. I do want to ask Coach this. Because, Coach, you said they should take CeeDee Lamb. So who's the top wide receiver in this draft?
CeeDee Lamb.
Alabama's guy.
Jerry Jeudy, right?
No, not at all.
You can't go wrong. CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy.
And Jerry Judy's undersized, man. I understand he's a great dynamic guy, but I mean, but again, a smaller guy like that, I mean, these guys in the NFL, they got a different bone in their body, man. So, how long can they hold up? Things of that nature. You need a guy that's big enough to be able to run through zones fast to take top off zones. And then
what about the guy
go in
KJ
and out,
Hamler
out
out
of
of
the,
Penn
the
State?
middle.
What about the KJ? He's not the best wide receiver, but you talk about being a big guy that can withstand the NFL pounding, but he's a small guy.
Yeah, but you asked me who was the best guy in the draft. I said CeeDee Lamb. I mean, that guy at Penn State so far down from production standpoint. I'm looking at production. I mean, the guy CeeDee Lamb has an incredible resume that jumps off the paper.
So you don't think Jerry Jeudy was that productive? 24 touchdowns in his last 28 games? And he got the same height frame like Mike Wallace. He's like a Mike Wallace clone. You saying that you think CeeDee Lamb is that better than him?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Interesting point.
I don't see it, but I think Jerry Jeudy is the best route runner. And if you look at the NFL right now, who's the best route runner in the league right now? One of the top three. You look at the guy down in Dallas. He's one of the best route runners.
Amari
Cooper.
Yeah.
They're very similar in their route running.
But he's a big guy, though. Cooper's not even the same size. They're not even the same size.
Well, Jerry Jeudy is slightly built, but his route running is exceptional. I mean, CeeDee Lamb, I don't think you can go wrong with either one of those two guys if you're picking.
Just the way the NFL is going with the wide open offense, things of that nature. I mean, the guys are going to be looking for guys that are big targets moving through zones. I want to kind of go back to the Jalen Hurts. I think Seattle picks up Jalen Hurts in the second round.
Really?
That's interesting.
Wow, I like that.
That's interesting.
He's going to mimic, the quarterback they have there now, Wilson. And,
Russell Wilson.
Yeah, and Pete Carroll's a guy like that, where he likes a guy that's kind of an under the radar guy or underdog guy like that, and comes and shows out.
Wow, that's interesting.
But listen, Joe Burrows goes to Cincinnati, the perfect storm again. He has a running back and he has a receiver. How many first-round draft pick quarterbacks walk into an organization and have a Pro Bowl running back and a Pro Bowl receiver?
Are we talking about A.J. Green?
Yes.
A.J. Lipping Green, who hasn't played a full season?
Ain't got nobody to block for him.
Hey,
that's what I'm saying.
He hasn't had no quarterback throw the ball to him.
I got much respect for all NFL teams and players, but the Bengals ain't going to win with or without Joe Burrow. They ain't going to win. It's not in it for the cards.
Have a 20-run Carson Palmer type career, guaranteed. Second round playoff, they going home every year. He'll lead the league in passing. He'll be good for fantasy football.
Second round.
And that's coming from a Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
Man, you talking about the Bengals.
Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Yo,
I like
Greg,
the colors.
Quiet, man. Greg, what you got, man?
No, man. I mean, I'm enjoying this. I mean, look, I'm a fan of the Chiefs, man. What do I say to y'all?
The ring, man. Flash the ring.
All right. I mean, Now, look. In all fairness, I live in Atlanta, so I do follow the Falcons, but my heart is with the Chiefs. So we're going back to the playoffs, and we'll pick up a few pieces that we need, but outside of that, I mean, the league is kind of what it is. But I will say to you that my thought process has been around with some of this virtual stuff. And I know they had parts of the combine, but it will be interesting to see those third and fourth and fifth round players that are picked up because there just really hasn't been a whole lot that you can do with them as a result of the COVID, to sort of reinforce whether or not you think that person is going to be a good fit for your team. So I'm curious to see what kind of players are selected, and then to some degree, what kind of impact some of them will actually make in the league.
Well, Steelers GM Kevin Colbert, he asked the league a couple of weeks ago, could they have extra draft picks? Because he said there are sure going to be mistakes made because they haven't seen these guys.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm thinking, that there'll be a lot of mistakes made. Absolutely.
The computer's going to be freezing up. It's going to be a lot of glitches.
It's Urban Media Today Talk Sports. Fellas, like we do all the time, we go around the room real quick. I'm going to start with you first, Ray Porter Jr. Keep it to 30 seconds, brother. What you got?
For the first time since 1967, the Pittsburgh Steelers will not have a number one draft pick, obviously because they traded that pick to get Pro Bowler Mika Fitzpatrick, which I thought was a good move. It's curious to see how Pittsburgh's going to move or how they're going to operate. Obviously, it don't seem like they're going to trade up, but I think that what they should do is draft their running back because much as I like James Carter, he's truly an inspirational story. His durability is a concern, and it would be nice to get a brother that's up in there that can handle the 16 games. So,
all right. Always on the Steelers, man. All right, John McCann, what you got?
I'm hearing rumors that with all those picks that the Miami Dolphins have, that they're trying to make some moves to move up in the draft, but to pick an offensive lineman. So I'm curious to see if that's going to manifest.
That's good stuff. I'm hoping it's Alex Taylor from South Carolina State, believe it or not.
Ooh.
6'8", 309 pounds doing this thing. So it'll be good to see him. All right, Keith Platt Jr., what you got?
Next week when we come on the show, one of the two following Big Ten running backs will be part of Steeler Nation, and I'm talking about Ohio State's J.K. Dobbins or Wisconsin's Jonathan Taylor. Mark my words, they will be part of Steeler Nation next week, one of the two.
Interesting stuff. So for those of you who are watching the video in this podcast, the draft will be going on as this is playing back. So that's why we're not referencing any type of picks or anything like that. It's just a conversation about the draft. Coach, what you got?
Man, I'm just excited, man, to see one of my clients here that came through, playing for him most of our recruiting service, and now, went to Prairie View, balled out there. Now he's with Tampa Bay. I mean, just to be there on that day when he got that call from Gruden, that was a pretty big deal. So to see that, I'm elated for guys that are going to be drafted over the next few days. I'm excited about that, and then all the other clients that have come to my program and they're getting ready to draft or go free agency. It's just an awesome opportunity.
Vince Butts, my man. Vince, what you got, man?
Yeah, I'm excited for this draft. It's gonna be different for all of us as fans, as GMs, and all those are part of this NFL sports. But as a Cleveland Browns fan, I know I don't talk about them a lot, but I'm hoping that they don't screw this up. And I'm looking at an offensive lineman, Andrew Thomas, as the most ready tackle that the Browns need to go out and get. So I'm hoping Browns can draft their future Hall of Fame left tackle to protect Baker Mayfield.
He needs all the protection he can get, man. Not that I'm hating on the Browns.
He need ADP.
So next up, we got my mentor, one of my mentors, Mr. Ty Miller, Power News Radio Network, making things happen there. Ty, kudos on the coronavirus coverage. Definitely with that. Thanks for sharing that too. But you've been a Dallas Cowboy fan. I already know what you're going to say. But
I'm a football fan. I love football, man. I love all teams, but I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. But here's what I'll say, and I'll say this for Coach. All right? You talk about Tua, you talk about Jason Herbert. Who puts asses in the seats? Tua. That's all I'll say. Miami's going to take Tua.
And listen,
yes, no doubt.
You got to listen to the podcast last week, man. He's a salvage title, baby. He's a salvage title. Don't buy it.
My man from Emperor Cut Cigars, my frat brother who came through school together. He actually helped mentor me in some things too, as far as the radio aspect. He doesn't know it, but I followed him and listened to what he was doing and tried to be like him. Greg, what you got, brother?
Well, I live in Atlanta, so I continue to have low expectations for the Falcons. That'll never change. I think, we saw once again, the Rooney Rule and things of that, in that regard, really are not manifesting themselves in an accurate way with Black coaches in the pipeline development, which is really critical for anything. No matter what business you're in, you got to start with your succession plan. And so we're not seeing enough Black coaches or coordinators, whatever they are, offensive or defensive, getting the opportunity to develop themselves so that they can be serious considerations for some of these head coaching positions that come around. So we just need to do a better job with that.
Oh, good stuff, man. Good stuff. And this next man, award-winning writer, best-selling author, another mentor. He even mentored me and Greg. 06 Epsilon Pi 85 in the house. My man Curtis Budd. Curtis Budd, what you got, family?
Well, Trevor, the NFL draft online for the first time in history, and it's going to be there because of COVID-19. And I think our response to this virus has been interesting in a lot of ways. And I wrote a story today about the Players Coalition, which evolved from the whole Colin Kaepernick debacle with the NFL. The Players Coalition is a collection of players who decided that they're going to tackle the criminal justice system, police and community relationships, and educational economic empowerment in the Black community. And they donated $3 million to 7 cities around the country that are hard hit African American communities, so that they can fortify these grassroots organizations to make a difference during this COVID-19 pandemic. And so I appreciate them stepping up and doing something beyond playing football that matters to our communities.
That's what's up. Good stuff. Good stuff. My last thing that I got to say for you all is take a look at this screen. Just take a look at this screen. We had Quinton Bell on earlier. Right now, we have Black men of power on this screen right now. We have entrepreneurs on this screen right now. And my point is that together, we can do anything. Separate individually, it's a struggle. And I'm tired of eating struggle. So I want to say thank you. I hope that everybody's families are safe. If you got to cover up your face, wear that mask. If you got to wear gloves, wear those gloves. And like I've been saying every week, if you got to complain, you know what the blessing in that is? You're alive. It's Urban Media Today Talk Sports. We got my man Todd Miller, Curtis Bunn, Ray Porter Jr., John McCain, Greg Willis, Keith Platt Jr., the youngin. Got Vince Butts, and then you got Coach William Greg Hoy Jr. It's been an awesome show. Enjoy the draft. We'll talk to you again next week.
Stay up.
Urban Media Today talks sports every week on Urban Media Today Radio, where you can listen in on free music and podcasts on our SoundCloud station at Urban Media Today. And for more information, log on to urbanmediatoday.com, your lifestyle, entertainment, and sports blog website.
What type of games being played? How's it going down? I get up, all right?